In this module, we continue to build our conversational agent for the pizza ordering example. We will start by adding context so the agent can keep the conversation going. Next, we will talk about how to write code to perform actions. In the case of our pizza ordering example, this could mean storing pizza orders into a database. So let's start with context. Have you ever experienced a situation where you walk up to a group at the moment for a strange comment and you catch yourself trying to make sense of what they might be talking about? If a friend comes to you and says, "What about tomorrow?" how would you react? You would probably ask them, "What are you referring to?" And that reaction comes from your lack of context. The same happens to agents. Knowing in which context the user is allows for less repetition. One example is if I ask, "What should we have for lunch today?" The other party responds, say, "Sandwich." Then if I ask, "What about dinner?" I would expect that the other person knows I'm referring to what we're going to eat and not what time we should be heading out for dinner, for example. This awareness can be provided to the agent through contexts. Contexts allow the agent to keep track of where the user is at in the conversation. In the context of Dialogflow, they are also a means for an application to store and access variables mentioned in the dialogue. In this example, if the sentence "actually make that 2 hours" is set out of context, there is no way the agent can know that the user is referring to the pickup time for the pizza order. Context allows the agent to control conversation flows. This can be done by defining specific states that the dialogue must be in for an intent to match. For example, Dialogflow matches an intent if what the user says resembles the provided training phrases for that intent. However, when you apply context to an intent, Dialogflow will only consider that intent for matching if the context is active. This is one of the purposes of the input context. If an input context is applied to an intent, it tells Dialogflow to match the intent only if the user sentence is a close match and if the context is active. Another type of context is output contexts. When applied to an intent, an output context tells Dialogflow to activate a context if it is not already active, or to maintain the context active after the intent is matched. This allows the agent to control the conversation flow. Let's see an example of how to add context to an intent. Here we're going to create 2 new intents for capturing negative and positive feedback and add context to them. Let's suppose the agent suggests a drink to go with the pizza order, and he wants to capture if the answer from the user is positive or negative. This allows the agent to match the response to the question, "Would you like to have a drink with your pizza?" and associate it with the right intent. So first, let's add the upselling question to the order pizza response. Once we are in the intent, we scroll down to the responses section and click Add Response. Click Save. We wait until the agent finishes training. And now let's test it. So let's say, "Can I get a pizza?" So the answer from the agent is, "Sure. Would you like to get a drink with your order?" And if I just type the answer, if let's say I type yes, the agent doesn't know what to do. So it goes into the fallback intent. Now we're gonna enable the agent to identify those answers. So we go back to the intents page and we create a new intent. Let's call this new intent Order Pizza Upsell Drink Yes. See here the context section? What we wanted to do here is to add a context as the input. But wait, there is no context that is active because we haven't activated a context in our order pizza intent. So let's save this one. Go back to our order pizza, and then say that once this intent is matched, I want to output a context called pizza upsell. Save. The moment that I do that, you may notice two things. The first one is that number 5 is added to it, and that represents the lifespan of the context. So this context is going to be active for 5 interactions. We can change this number if you'd like. But now that we activated the context, we can provide the same context as input to the answer that we just created. So going to the order pizza upsell drink yes intent, we click in context, and then we add the pizza upsell context as the input context. So recapping, when we order pizza, the agent recognizes the intent, it activates the pizza upsell context, and then now the intent to detect the answer has that context activated. So if it is activated, it's gonna then listen to the response and try to match if it is a yes or no. So the same way we did it here, we will do one for the negative response. So I'm just gonna copy this and then create one more intent called order pizza upsell drink no. Provide the pizza upsell input context, and then it automatically adds that same context as an output context, but we can remove it if we don't want that context to be active after I leave this intent. Click save. Now we have the 2 skeletons for the intents, but we need to add the training phrases. So for the no example, I would say no thanks, or nah, I'm good. The same way we can provide as many examples as we want to detect the negative feedback, the same way we can do it for the positive feedback. So now let me switch to an agent that I have already configured with the examples for both positive and negative feedbacks. And now let's test it. Let's say the same thing with, so can I get a pizza? The agent will say, sure. Would you like to have a drink with your pizza? And if I say yes, the answer was, great, a combo coming right up. So you see now that it detected that the yes is related to ordering a pizza with a drink. And you can do the same thing with the no, and it will place the order for just the pizza. But is that order going anywhere? No, not yet. In the next slides, we will see how we can create fulfillments and then actually make the order be placed on the backend system. Now we will go over some of the best practices that make developing agents easier and more scalable. We will cover some of them and would highly encourage that you take a look at the reference page for this module, where we have additional links to the Dialogflow documentation. As we saw in the previous video, sometimes we might want to collect positive or negative feedback from the user. When doing that, instead of creating entities that match yes or no, for example, use context or follow-up intents instead. These intents can, in turn, have the training phrases reflect the negative or positive expressions accordingly. Follow-up intents will carry the context automatically when created.